5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right. Welcome to the second Fragments of Silicon review of the week. Up this time is a game called Conarium. Uh, if you are just coming off our last review, you heard us talk a bit about this game. Indeed, it came up a bit in last Sunday's reviews as well. So, this is a first-person indie horror game in terms of genre, which is, and I am once again remarked that I'm surprised that we're getting to one of these like now as opposed to months ago, because indie horror games are a pretty prolific and popular genre on the scene. Um, One look at YouTube will confirm this. And the myriad of let's plays of, say, Amnesia: The Dark Descent, among other games. Um, it's like Penumbra and Doorways to Darkness, and so on and so forth. Um, Now, what's significant about this is it's a takeoff of Lovecraft as well, which is another popular horror staple. But it's worth noting that there's an art to pulling off Lovecraft.
Yeah, Lovecraftian horror is not one of the kinds of horror that is very popular in movies and stuff. A lot of it is about discomfort in strange environments and doubt about whether the universe is real or whether, or just the general grim possibility that, like, in general, a lot of the bad guys or the biggest threats in Lovecraft stuff aren't actually evil. They're just unfathomably ancient and huge and powerful and think about as much about humans as humans do about stepping on ants.
Right.
So it's more of a deep concern and unease rather than a panicky, oh no, there's a thing that just jumped out of the closet and it's going to kill me.
Right. I think the key word here is atmosphere. Like, Lovecraft is very atmospheric, and like it's a type of horror that Hollywood really has problems coming to grips with. Because if you've seen like a Hollywood adaptation of Lovecraft, you'll know how fucking bad this is. Like, you know, because, well, people think horror means gore. You know, it means blood, guts, and all that stuff, and that's not really the case, especially with Lovecraft. Now, Lovecraft is much more psychological.
Some of his scariest stuff doesn't have people actually dying at all.
Yeah, and Conarium really understands this. Like, though this can be a bit of a double-edged sword. That is to say, most of the tension, most of the terror, most of the uncomfort comes from the atmosphere. Comes from you know, comes from the sense that you are very isolated. Like, so it's worth noting that this game isn't just Lovecraftian in the sense of a label. It's actually basing itself on the works of H.P. Lovecraft. specifically at the Mountains of Madness.
Yeah, it's which is a novella that was written in like the early 1930s.
Yes. It's one of his more signified works. Like
it's pretty well known, and it's regarded. I believe it's one of the for one thing, it's one of the longer things. It's a full novella instead of a short story. A lot of Lovecraft stuff is short fiction.
Right, very short. And right. I suppose we should go over at the Mountains of Madness first before we get into the Conarium itself. I suppose spoilers for an 80-year-old book.
Yeah.
At the Mountains of Madness was born out of Lovecraft's obsession with Antarctic exploration.
Which kind of makes sense. Antarctica is really freaking bleak, which definitely is a good setting for that kind of.
Right.
It's why it was used in The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing,
among other reasons.
Mm-hmm.
It's also because it's one of the last unexplored frontiers. Like even today, Antarctica isn't all that charted because it's the coldest place in the world.
Want to see it? Want to see a really detailed map of Antarctica? Holds up piece of blank white paper.
Pretty much. Especially in regards to especially back in the 1930s. And this is also the novella where a lot of the elder god mythos got built up.
A lot of those things came from different short stories and stuff.
Right. I mean, this is where granted, some of these things would keep coming back, but this is the book that gave us the Shoggoths. The formless minions, I suppose.
Some of the stuff it involves Leng, so
mm-hmm.
Which is related in some of the stuff in the Dream Quest of Unknown Kadath, and I think even in The Outsider, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, it's like the Shoggoths are this
unspeakable, which is a big Lovecraft thing. It's not scary if you can describe it.
No, that's not that. You're thinking of Yog-Shoggoth. The Shoggoths are this purple goo that will perform any task, assume any form, and reflect any thoughts.
But are they Rugos?
I don't think so.
I'm kidding.
I
believe that actually means scaly, so I don't think they are.
Yeah, I'm like, what it like? What I suppose one of the most important aspects to this book is you're actually dealing with a couple different alien civilizations, for lack of a better term. But first of all, there's the lizard people. There's the reptilian folk that occupy these ruins, but they're not the builders. That distinction belongs to what is often called the elder gods, not exactly. They're elder things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, elder things are different than elder gods. I mean, they're really powerful, but they're still basically mortal-ish.
Right, but they were revered by the reptilians as gods themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And this is all worth noting because all of this backstory, all of this factors heavily in the game.
It's the short story of the basic outline of the novella is scientists go into Antarctica on a scientific expedition and find unearthly civilizations there and terrifying things, and maybe we shouldn't be poking around too much in the mountains in Antarctica.
Right. Right. At the Mountains of Madness is actually supposed to be a cautionary tale, you know, to those who would go exploring. I'm like, and that's where Conarium picks up. It's the next expedition. I'm like, they didn't listen to wisdom, basically. And, you know, the explorers, you know, and you will actually find the At the Mountains of Madness book in the game. Like, it's an actual document in the world.
Which could be pretty useful as like a field guide to people who, you know, are dumb enough to go back.
Yeah, and you know, and these are people, well, who aren't just going back, but there's the Conarium itself, which is I'm hesitant to delve into what it is or what it might be, because once again, this is Lovecraft. It's hard to tell if any of this is actually happening now. And
if it is happening, is it happening on this plane of reality or a different one?
Well, that is one of the questions, because this isn't so much a spoiler. You will be visiting different planes of reality, but you know, one of the questions that comes up is, are you actually here, or is this a delusion? Is this, you know, some, you know, mind trick?
And keep in mind, one of the Lovecrafts, that's another thing that comes up somewhat repeatedly, and he has I don't think they're in this, but he has a race called the Yithians, or the Great Race of Yith, who their whole thing is that they're really weird things from the end of time, who project their minds into people's bodies in other places and times, and then you swap. So that's very on point of, wait, is this real?
Mm-hmm.
Is this really happening?
Well,
sorry.
It's not just, say, the plane jumping, but like a lot of the actual, I'd say, jump scares, or, you know, actual scary things you encounter. A lot of the time, they'll like, there's this one sequence where you're let's say, dealing with monstrosities of some sort. I don't, you know, it's like, I don't want to give it away, but you know, it's kind of like, it's presented in a way where you go, was that real or wasn't that real? Like, I kind of have to be vague here to avoid spoilers, because this is definitely a game you should go into with as little foreknowledge of, like, the actual game as you know, the actual events of the game. You know, knowing the structure isn't so much of an issue, you know, especially since, you know, it starts out with the same conceit as at the Mountains of Madness. Like, you are an explorer who wakes up. You're on an Antarctic expedition, like, but it's, you know, a couple of strange things are going on. First of all, there's this very odd device that, you know, that's giving off an alien glow, and you know, your memories are very hazy. And you know, the other thing is, there's nobody else around, and that's really where a lot of the tension comes from. You know, you will be playing. You will not encounter other life, maybe, like, or maybe you will. You know, it's like, but you know, there is a very, very oppressive feeling of dread that hovers around the entire concept, as you'd expect. Like, I'd say another portion of what makes the game so tense is the soundtrack. Like, um, the soundtrack does a very excellent job capturing the mood of isolation, and it's not just like a sound effects style. Although there is that, you do get a lot of forlorn wind blowing, especially because you're in Antarctica and there's a snowstorm going on.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you will get a lot of melancholy tracks that add to the mood. This is this is definitely a game I would say play with the soundtrack on. I'm not sure if I would recommend getting the soundtrack on its own, because it's not so much, it isn't something that I would listen to, but I thought it worked. It's actually doing a job, as
right.
opposed, it's part, like, it's part of the game experience, like a big part of the game experience, and not having that there, I think, would make it for a lesser experience. Like, that being said, you can pick up the soundtrack on its own, and it's only $3. So it doesn't look like there's a soundtrack edition. Like, now I suppose there's a question here that we might need to address that hasn't come up before, and that's the subject of Let's Plays. Like, and the question is, like, should you buy this game, or should you watch a Let's Play of it? So this is actually a question that's been kind of raging around certain games, certain genres, certain projects, what have you.
There are certainly some games where it's not the same if you watch them after watching a Let's Play them after watching a Let's Play of them.
Right, and like the argument, if in the case of, say, Conarium, is you'd probably be getting the same experience watching the game as you would playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I would not agree to that. It's like, even something like an indie horror game. It's that game part of the game thing. It's like, yes, you can watch the Let's Plays, and you'll get some of the experience. Although, I never quite got the appeal of. I guess it's watching the Let's Player get freaked out.
Yeah.
Because otherwise.
See Markiplier doing Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah, it's like. Otherwise, it's like, why do you want the person yammering there with the fucking horror game? That's completely obliterating the mood. That's that's completely ruining the immersion.
Yeah.
I guess it's kind of has to do with, like, when found footage movies were kind of a thing.
I guess, but it's like it's definitely a case here in Conarium where try not to watch the Let's Play first. Try, like, because this game is, because it's Lovecraftian, a big part of its horror is isolation. I cannot emphasize this enough. It's, that feeling that you are very alone in this research station, except for maybe the creeping terror that might be lurking around the corner. Kind of deal. And that's something you have to be immersed in to really feel. So I would, like, if you do play this game, just go into it blind, and don't play your own custom soundtrack. Like don't even turn off the music. The whole package is there, working in tandem. Like, and if you take away one piece of that, I won't say the whole thing falls apart, but you know, it your experience in terror isn't going to be enriched
Mhm.
because um, I won't say that there aren't jump scares in the game, but they're not that prevalent. Now, that's why I've been emphasizing what Lovecraftian horror is all about, because this game understands that concept and, is trying to instill not just terror, but dread into you. And that's a much deeper fear
Mhm.
than what a lot of these jump scare games go for.
I mean, if you don't like horror and you still are interested in the story or something, then maybe that would be a good way to do it. But if you really the intended feeling of this is less that it's going to make you scream and have to take a break, and more something that you'll play through the whole game and then feel uncomfortable for a while, like
Yeah,
because it's just
yeah. I'll admit, I didn't play this game as long as I did in portions because, you know, it's that late night shit. I'm like, is there something going to be around the corner? Kind of, like there's definitely a case of creeping paranoia that crept up.
Fear of the
Mhm.
unknown.
Yes, like in terms of graphics, this game looks quite stunning. It's like it's a UE4 game, so it's also going to be um, like it's going to be a bit on the graphical processor. Like, indeed, I'm like that kind of does lead me to my main complaint about the game, and I'm not sure if this was just me or if it was the game itself, but the controls never quite felt right. Like they felt a lot stickier and kludgier than they were supposed to, and I wasn't sure if that was like a graphical issue, like too much slowdown or something, or if it was the game itself. Also, like there was some mouse acceleration going on here that I couldn't fix, um,
hmm.
be, because like using a mouse was even on the lowest settings was an issue. Like I actually switched to a controller to play this game, like, and for me to do that with a first-person game on the PC, it makes me think that this game was built for a controller.
Yeah, I was about to ask, is there a console version of this game out as well?
I think that there might be. I want to say that this came out on the PlayStation 4 as well, but let me check on that.
Yeah, because like the trailers are only saying stuff about Steam, so I don't know if there's like one in development or it could have just been
Um,
the plug-in pack for UE4 they used.
okay, yeah, it's out now on Steam, but it's coming to the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 later on in 2017.
Ah,
And that does make sense. Like, let's see. Um, replay value. Actually, first, um, it is worth noting that this game isn't just a walking simulator. Uh, it actually um, it actually has a lot in common with. It's kind of a hybrid point-and-click adventure game as well.
hmm.
That is to say, you do solve puzzles at certain points that are of dubious logic.
i.e., Welcome to Lovecraft.
Yes, like so there is a challenge there as well. You're collecting copious amounts of notes in various formats.
Now, is it like they give you a logbook, or do you actually have to write stuff down?
No, they give you a logbook.
All right.
Like, and it's not just you will find like Resident Evil style notebook pieces around, but you'll also be logging memories, what they call them, and certain like reliefs and puzzle elements. Recordings. There are phonograph recordings, which are the audio logbook of this game. So a lot of the modern collectathon trappings, basically, and there are also secrets. Like in both the forms of like rooms, secret rooms that you have to enter via a certain method, and also what they call trophy items. Like I'm not exactly sure what they do because I didn't get them all. Like I was less concerned about 100% completion and more, getting through the game. And I will say that there are at least 2 endings. I'm like,
Are
hard
any of them not terrible?
define terrible. Like
Mhm.
I'm
You
like,
do know this is Lovecraft we're talking about, right?
Yeah, the ending of the original At the Mountains of Madness basically is the main character does get away, but like his research assistant goes sad, goes crazy from seeing horrible things. Most of the rest of the research team ends up dead because elder things.
I'm like, how do I put this? Like, I'm trying to think of a good way to put one of the endings. I'm like, one of the endings might be one of the most. I hesitate to say upbeat, but probably positive Lovecraft or Lovecraftian endings I've seen. Um, and there's a specific reason for that I really can't spoil
Hmm.
because it's kind of the central conceit around it. The,
Fair
the
enough.
It's like the other ending is definitely more typical Lovecraft, maybe, but it's a bit on the bizarre side.
So typical Lovecraft.
I'm like, yeah, like, it's more the ending of another one of his not stories, actually. Like, which reminded me of, not, and if I say which one it is, you'll probably guess what I'm talking about. So,
Yeah.
you know, I'll just leave it there, as to not give away, because there is replay value to be had here, but like you don't have to play the game again to get like both endings. It's more, one ending comes a bit before the other ending, kind of deal. Like, you just make sure you have a manual save and you're good.
Hmm.
No. So, and you know, if you're not a completionist, though, I would say this is a one and done game. It's like, I mean, I enjoyed what I played. I put in about 11, 12 hours of it, but I don't see myself going back to it. That's,
Yeah. Well, I like games like this in like theory, and I find the story interesting. I don't have much stomach for horror games, so I actually might be more inclined to try to watch someone else play it or something.
you can do that,
Hmm.
if you so wish. And that kind of centers around the asking price here. The game is $20. No. Um, like I said, you know, it's a fair.
It's a little on the high end.
Yeah, it's granted, you can definitely see where the production values are, because the production values are shockingly high. Um,
Yeah, just like looking at like the trailer and screenshots of this, I'd probably pay $20 for it if I was into Lovecraftian horror.
yeah, it's kind of how into horror, how much are you into this style of horror? Because if you're looking for, say, Five Nights at Freddy, you're gonna feel disappointed. um, like I said, there are jump scares in the game, but they're not that prevalent. Uh, and that's all I can really say. Like, I've pretty much reached the limits of what I can talk about in this game without actually crossing the veil into spoiler territory.
I see what you did there.
Indeed, and yes, that was intentional. Like, like, but yeah, maybe pick this game up in October when the Halloween season's around.
Yeah, I guess it should be mentioned that currently this is not on the 2017 Steam Summer Sale.
Which isn't too much of a surprise. Like, I could definitely see it going on sale
Oh,
during
on their fall sale, it's probably going to go on sale.
yeah. Like, but right now, well, it's like we might find that out on Tuesday because we actually we actually do have an interview with one of the people who was involved in the making of this game. Like, but before I segue into that, are there any thoughts from the team here? Even though you guys didn't get to play this
Not really. At least not on my end.
My interest has been piqued.
one, really noted. And I guess
Golix,
Alex,
did you mute yourself?
Are you there?
you eat your microphone.
It tastes like chicken.
Did he step away and didn't think we'd notice?
I guess. Carry
Well,
on?
yeah, it's like, well, never mind that. So, that'll about do it for Conarium. Yeah, it's like I personally would recommend this game. One of the better games I played this year, but your mileage may vary. It's definitely much a one of those as well. So the week ahead, um, we have a Tuesday interview, as mentioned before. On Tuesday morning, we have Galip uh, Cartoglu. I will admit I have no idea how to pronounce this name. Like,
Yeah, it's Turkish or whatever you said.
yeah, it's Turkish, apparently. Like,
Yeah, Turkish is an unusual language.
yeah. He was the chief programmer and like one of the story writers. He wore quite a few hats from what I garnished in the credits. And he works at Zoetrope Games, the developer of Conarium here. Like, so that's some convenient timing. On Wednesday, June 28th, we will be having John Pickett, a manga gamer, back on for, oh dear God, like the 8th time?
Yeah.
I'm like, I think he might be our record holder for number of appearances now.
To be fair, they do pump out a lot of games.
Yes. This, not all of which are on Steam for various reasons. Though this time around, we're actually going to be talking about one of their older releases, Himawari the Sunflower.
That is what Himawari means.
Like, that is the full name.
I know. I'm wondering what it is in Japanese.
Like, um, Anyway, yeah.
It probably is just Himawari. It's just that's a very simple word.
Yeah. Anyway, in the year 2048, a high-altitude airliner built to carry manned streams crashed, leading to the loss of countless lives. At the same time, following the unforeseen death of the Amiana Diago, um, however you pronounce that, the astronaut once lauded as a hero, the field of space development entered a period of stagnation. 2 years later, in 2050, Hinata Yoichi attends high school as the sole survivor of the crash. His memory is lost from the shock caused by the accident. After jointly founding the so-called Space Club, Yoichi and his friend Amiyanga Ginga, the son of Amiyanga uh, Amina Diago. Yeah, these names are really hard to fucking pronounce.
They're just Japanese.
Yeah, that's why
I
they're
know
hard. Spent their school days building a rocket until one fateful night, a mysterious young girl called Aries crash lands near them. Her memories also lost from the shock of the landing. Yoichi, unable to leave Aries to fend for herself, decides to take the girl in, and so the two begin their new lives under the same roof.
So it's Kamen Rider Forzai.
Meets romance.
Yeah, I'm joking mostly because Space Club.
Yeah. Also worth note that this is the Steam version. We do plan on reviewing this particular game on Sunday, next week, next Sunday. Like, I, I want to say that there might be a adult R18 version of this. I'm
Yeah, let me see if I can find out here.
you know, it's like I'm see, you know, I'm like more research is needed in that regard. But that's happen. That's what's happening on Fragments of Silicon. Petty fan, what is going on MSP this week?
Um, who is our guest this week?
That's what I'm asking.
I'm trying to look for it, and Skype is locking up on me.
Oh dear.
Well, anyway, there is a adult version of that visual novel.
That's what I thought.
Um, yeah, I can't find her name for the life of me. Oh, Kira Buckland, I think is what he's. No, not Kira. Shit.
No.
The one who I think she does the like Pottermore cons is what Mac mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But her name is escaping me at the moment, and I can't find it in my little
You sure
chat
it's
log.
not Kira Buckland?
It's not.
No.
Oh, right. It's is it Kara something?
Maybe. I feel really bad about this, but I just forgot
Sorry,
to
and
write
I'm
it
terrible
down.
with names, so.
Yeah.
Well, this shit show's gone on long enough. Let's move on.
Yeah, again, I apologize for that.
Yeah, I'm like, you're really gonna have to get on a better page with that MSP schedule.
Yeah.
Just yell at Mac. Just tell him, like, listen, fucker, give me a list or don't fucking get me to do this anymore. Got it?
All right. On
Maybe.
that note, we'll wish you good gaming.